This is my buddy Alfred, and this is Alfred's roadmap to success. Now, Alfred is a great little dog, and he had a medical issue that his guardians were trying to figure out really from the time, I guess, about 12 weeks, 14 weeks, somewhere around that range, and ended up having a cyst removed from his brain around a year of age. So he had, I think, some of his, some of the stuff stems from, at one point he went to a doggy daycare when he was a little bit young. I usually don't recommend dog daycare until a puppy is at least 6 months of age, and only if they're comfortable, because dog daycare attendants have a lot of dogs to watch, and they're looking for fights. And a young puppy often doesn't have the social skills to tell another dog to go away. King Charles, being a smaller dog, sometimes usually just roll over and show their belly, being submissive. And if the other dog just says, I still want to play, now I feel cornered. I don't know what else to do. So sometimes that can create some other behavior issues later on. Yes, are you grumbling? Yes. Yes, you're grumbling a little bit more. So he's grumbling. He might be hearing different. He's a little sound sensitive, I think. And he might have, because of the surgery he had, sounds might be a little bit brighter for him. And he's very determined. So he's like, he knows where the treats are and he wants to get them. All right, so we start off by going over a loading exercise. I'm picking the marker word of yes. Yes is an indicator. We use that word the instant the dog does the thing we want, unless the thing we want has duration like potty or stay. At that point, in those cases, we would say the marker word at the conclusion of potty or the conclusion of stay. So for example, real quick for stay, what I do is I tell the dog to sit or lay down. I say stay as I punctuate my hand, then I pull my hand back, and then I do I do distractions. There's 3 D's for stay: duration, distance, and distraction. Most of us start moving away, which is the most difficult part of it. So what I do is I say stay, and then I kind of tilt my head. 1 distraction, I say the marker word yes, and I give them a treat. And then I decide, am I going to stay? Do another one. So I say stay, maybe I move that and raise my shoulder. That's 1 distraction and 1 second, 1 distraction and 2 seconds. And then I say the marker word and give him the treat. And when we're done, I show him that I have a treat and I say parole, which is his release word, and throw that treat away. He runs and gets it. And eventually we'd work up to 5 distractions, 10 distractions, 20 distractions. And as we're adding more distractions, we add more time. And then make sure you always release him at the end. And so we're saying yes, and when we get to 20 seconds, we say yes to say, I wanted you to stay for 20 seconds, and then I release you. So that's a marker word and how we use marker words. We went through a loading exercise. So what we did is we said yes, gave him a treat, walk a couple steps. When you say do the loading exercise, all you do is say the marker word and put the treat in his mouth. He doesn't have to sit, lay down, or do anything. You just say it, give him the treat. So don't say it if he's too far away from you. And walk around your whole house and do it once in each room, and then do it again. Do like 2 circuits. So you want to do this usually about 6 times, but we keep doing it until when we do it, he perks up. Now I also am leaving the guardian with a clicker. Same thing. You click, give him the treat, and then take a couple steps and do the same thing. Or you can throw a treat on the ground and click right before he licks it up. Make sure you click like this, not like that. Consistency is really important. So after a while, when you've loaded both those things, loading is an exercise you only do 1 or 2 days. After a while, he knows when I hear the yes or a click, I just did something good and I'm about to get a treat or a reward. He's very determined. He wants a Charlie Bear big time. So you could even use shaping and teach him to scratch like a DJ with this. Put a record player up here, put a treat on it. He'll be like, okay. So we also went over hand targeting, which is a vehicle I use to teach when to use the cue. So we did the chop. And then as soon as he touched his nose to my hand, well, since you want a treat, should we show you once real quick? It's like, yes. So, boop, yes. So I'm saying yes for him touching his nose to my hand. Now, we also went over to introduce cues. We don't say the cue unless we're 90% certain when I say the cue, he's going to do the action. So when we were doing it at first, I went boop, or he touched and I said yes, then I did this hand and an empty hand when you chop. We did about 3 or 4 times, and then I said boop. And if he touches his nose to my hand, I said yes and put the treat on my hand. But when we were first doing it, after the second time I said boop, he didn't do it. But the more you say it, the less you mean it. You don't want to repeat a cue over and over again because it helps the dog practice not listening to you, makes the cue less effective, and helps them not practice what you want them to do. So if that's the case, then you just make it easier. And then when the dog does the thing you want, you lure them, and then you use your marker words so they understand. And after a while, the dog hears, every time my butt hits the ground, I hear yes, and I get a treat. So butt on the ground, it must be what my humans want. So when we introduce the cue, we do it like 3 or 4 times just with the marker word, and the dog's kind of warmed up. He goes, yeah, I'm going to touch my nose to your hand. Then we say boop as we throw our hand. Then he comes over and does the action because he's warmed up. He just did it 5 times. He knows what you want. And eventually that word means do the action. So if you want to teach him, my dog, if I say happy hour, my dog goes and drinks. Every time he's about to drink, just say happy hour right before he gets to the water bowl. When he gets done, say yes and pet him and give him a treat. And after a while, you can say water bowl and he'll run over and drink. Do this for stretching, for anything you want. You sneak that cue word in early. Also be careful. A lot of us come up with different cues for the same action. Come here, come here, come here, over here boy, whistle, tap my thigh, name, nickname. That's 10 different ways of calling it. If you speak English, they mean the same thing, but to him, that's 10 times as hard. So it's easier if we all just consolidate to one cue for each action. After that, we went over exercise, and he does a good job of getting exercise. His guardian exercises in multiple short sessions throughout the day, which is better. Yes. We also went over celebrating, which is what I'm doing right there. So he got done scratching in my bag, and he came over here on his own accord. I said yes to let him know that I liked him coming over here, and I petted him. Now, eventually what I'd like to do is sneak that cue in. So if he got done scratching my bag and I knew he was going to come over here, I would say, come, right before when he's on his way, and then pet him when he gets here. So now come means come to a human and get attention. So celebrating right here. Yes, I didn't ask him to come to me, but it's a desirable action. So every time I come to David, he says yes when I arrive, and then he gives me a pet. And he pets me under his chin, under the chin or on the chest or on the 2 shoulders. And so they do this when the dog sits, when it gives you eye contact, lays down, goes to the dog bed, rides a skateboard, drinks water, goes potty, whatever it is. So now he knows what it is that gets attention. Now for this, if I give him attention for this, this could validate and reward that behavior. So instead, I'd like to use the positive interrupter. So if he's growling or doing something I don't want, let's see if I can quietly pull out a treat. So if he's scratching at where he is, puppy, puppy, puppy. Yes. So I made the kissing sound, which I do for a lot of dogs. For him, it doesn't work very well, but I said puppy 3 times in a high-pitched voice. That got him to look at me, and when he did, I did the hand targeting. He ran over, he touched his nose with my hand, I gave him a treat, and then I would usually give the dog something else to do, or replacement behavior. Otherwise, he'll go back to doing what he's doing. Yes. And if the dog shakes it off like that, that can be a way of releasing his anxiety. So if he's anxious and you see him shake like that, pet him afterwards. And again, try to pet under the chin, on the chest, or on the 2 shoulders. When you're out and about, if somebody wants to pet him, he's a very handsome dog. I'm sure everybody wants to do it. You want to pet him? Sure. Would you like to give him a treat first? We always like to have people give him a treat just to make sure he's comfortable. Sure. And then they give them a treat, and then see how he interacts with them. If you want to take the treat, yes. He probably will. He really likes treats. But if he takes the treats, and then when they're about to pet him, just say, oh, we like to let him sniff people's hands. So we go like this. He touched me. He gave me his indication that I have his consent. And then at that point, tell him, and he really likes being petted under the chin. Dogs do not really like being petted on top of the head. They can learn to accept it, but most dogs will kind of cower away. And that can lead to eventually a nipping behavior. I know it seems like a lot to ask, but after a while, you kind of get used to it. And remember, if they hold their hand out and he turns his nose up or turns away, oh shoot, I forgot he was in the vet today. He has ringworm. He's not supposed to be petted by humans because it's contagious. They'll take 2 steps away. But again, if you are managing the situation, he doesn't feel out of sync and like he has to exert himself and tell the person not to do it. Or it might be contributed when he comes in. He comes in and goes straight out in the backyard and starts barking at his kingdom. So it might be related. He feels a little insecure from what happened out and about, so he's going to assert himself here. Could be a relation there. Okay, so we also went over different forms of exercise, like getting an omega paw treat ball. You might get him a Kong that you can fill with peanut butter. You can also do some scent games. We went over cookie in the corner, throwing the treats on the ground. Hunt is the cue that we were using for that. And eventually, and don't do that in places you don't want to be looking for food, but eventually you could hide the treats or leave 4 treats along the side and just motion and say, hunt! And he goes and starts sniffing the ground looking for those treats. Every time he gets it, you say yes. I have a video for cooking in the corner, so if you get how to do that, let me know. He really likes tricky trainers, chicken liver. This is what I was using from the soft and chewy ones. Also, if you get these, they have almost no preservatives. That's why they work so well. So when you when you close the bag, fold it over and burp all the air out of it like this. Otherwise, it'll be hard as M&Ms in like 10 minutes. Let me see. We also went over mental stimulation, like training him. That's a great way to burn energy. Just make sure you keep the training sessions 2 to 3 minutes. practice in different places in your house, and always end on a positive note. Try to pick like 1 or 2 new tricks that you're going to teach him each week. Practice it about 3 times a day in 2 or 3 minute practice sessions, less than 10 minutes a day, and practice throughout your house using your marker word. Eventually, did you get in there? You are crafty. Eventually, you'll be able to have more ways of redirecting him. And then you can do the exercise, what I call it training for attention. I had a guardian walk around the house. Sit. Yes. And she gave him a treat. And she took a couple steps. Down. He laid down. Yes, and gives him a treat. Let's have him practice listening to us and being rewarded for us while we wander around the house. That gives him something to do, and it practices listening to us, practicing the activity, practicing getting the reward. It accomplishes 3 or 4 really positive things. Now, we talked about celebrating, but right here he's demanding attention. So if I want to give a treat, I might say, hey, Alfred, sit. Yes. So he's demanding the attention. He's trying to take the treat. I told him to do something. And I said it only one time, sit. If he sat, then I said the marker word and rewarded him. If he didn't sit, I would just go back to playing guitar, playing video games, watching TV, reading emails. There's no punishment, there's no correcting. So if I ask you to do something and do it within 2 seconds the first time I say it, you get a reward. If you do anything else, nothing happens. After a while, he'll start sitting down as a way of saying, please, can I get some attention from you? And when he does, make sure you do it. That's when we start getting into the celebrating. So we're essentially rewarding him for the desired behaviors. Like I mentioned off camera, a lot of times this sort of behavior gets attention where sitting, laying down, other things don't. Well, I can redirect his attention like this. This crinkling of the bag is a proceeding to getting the treats. So that caused him to stop barking or whatever it was. Right now there's a car parking across the street. The windows are open. It could be that. So that video above goes over that counter conditioning. Make a list of all the things. Hey, yeah. But even if I do that, and it's human nature, I try not to do it. And I say gave him attention for doing that. But that makes him more likely to do it. Now, if he's really barking over here, you can just say, find it. And do the find it game, or the hunt, excuse me, is the word that you use, and give him something else to do. Distract him. Yeah, he's good. And I think part of this is he's been barking so much, I think he just doesn't have it. Yeah. So you might want to go ahead and, for the window upstairs, remember, put that, you can come back up here. He needs to be lured. So you put the paper on the outside of the bottom window, so when he looks at the window, he doesn't see whatever it is that he's barking at, and he doesn't see them move away. Hey, come here. Down. Yes. Also, I think he's a little bit tired at this point. This is the end of a 3-hour session. I think you're a little bit cranky at this point. But I think he's also used to telling his humans what to do, and she was doing it a lot. So that's why we're going to do the do-over. So if he demands attention, we're going to tell him to sit or lay down and not shake. And if he does what we want, then we're going to go ahead and pet him. And if he doesn't do what we want, then we're going to our own thing. Use the word manners for that. So if you come in and you see your partner comes in and sees that, come here, buddy, I'm going to manhandle you a little bit. And he's jumped up on me and I'm petting him. And my partner says to me, manners. Oh, that's right. Sit. Yes. Actually, I asked him to sit. And when you came down the stairs, I invited him on my lap at the same time. And I was petting him for that. But thank you. I do forget to ask him to sit. Now, if you want to pet him for no reason, pet him as much as you want. But if he's demanding attention from you, ask him to do something else. Or if he's doing unwanted behaviors like this. Come here, buddy. How about down here? Sit. Down. Yes. Probably should have said yes for the sit. But I asked him to do 2 or 3 different things to kind of create some distance from, otherwise he thinks I bark at the window and then I get a treat for that. Now, the systematically deprogramming with the counter conditioning exercise will help with that a lot. But again, I think that at this point is tired. And it also is the time of the day where a lot of dogs are walking. I've seen 4 dogs walk by as we've been filming this. So he might be hearing the jingle of sounds of that, and he's barking at that, and he's a little confused in his habit of doing it from over here or whatever the case may be. Okay, let me see. We went over, trying to think what else did we go over. The positive interrupter sound, load that as well. So say puppy, 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 give him that treat, walk around the house and do that. So he likes to scratch at these mirrors, and that gets attention from his guardians. So his guardians might take a piece of plexiglass and some 3M double-sided tape with Velcro. Just cover the bottom part of both of those windows. Now, right now, he has access to the backyard. So if he gets like this, I would, as soon as you call him back over here, close the baby gate. If necessary, you might close the back door. And I know we like having the window open. Santa Monica, the breeze is very nice, but that sound might not carry as much. Or you could play a masking sound in here. Play some classical music. Play some easy music, easy contemporary or reggae music. Those are the three that seem to be best for masking sounds and helping dogs be calm. You don't want to play like talk radio, especially political talk, because that gets them worked up, or jazz or metal, stuff like that. Now, I don't like using a leash to tether a dog if they're emotionally outbursts, but he does like scratch his guardian's face to wake her up in the middle of the night when he wants attention. And so for that could be potentially dangerous. So I went over, remember the solution we went over for that. I'm not going to say it on camera because it's kind of a little bit beyond what I normally do, but go ahead and that way there's a consequence every time that he does that. But he has to be bang, bang. So he scratches, boom, and he's removed from the bed. So he loses that privilege of being on the bed. And so but if it's bang, bang, he realizes, yes, then I better not scratch my human in the face, because that means I get ejected from the bed and then I don't get to go back until the next day. And I really like sleeping with them. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we went over. On walks, make sure that you pre-max. So yes. So if he wants to get on the couch, yes. Tell him to sit. If he sits, yes. Then I invite him up. Yeah, you are lazy. You need to, or motivated only by treats. That's why the marker word is so helpful, because the marker word is always followed by a treat. It's called secondary reinforcer. And eventually he recognizes that yes means I'm about to get a treat, so he's more likely to do those things. So for Premax, less desirable behavior earns me more desirable behavior. So tell him to sit before you put his leash on. If he doesn't sit, put the leash down and do something else. Wait 1 minute. After 1 minute, go back, tell him to sit. If he doesn't sit this time, sit down for 2 minutes. Then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. That's okay. He's determined. That's a good quality if we harness it properly. Right now, I know it seems annoying as mom's kind of, oh God, he's doing this again. But again, he's just very determined. He knows what he wants. But that's dedication. That's a determination. That's going to be a good positive thing. On walks, ask him to sit before you open the door. If he doesn't sit, walk away, sit down. 1 minute, 2 minute, 4 minute, 8 minute. Eventually, he goes over and he does it. And again, get a turntable and turn this guy into a DJ. He can make you a lot of money in Santa Monica. Celebrate. Same thing on walks. Ask him to sit every time you're going to cross the street. So again, the more that he practices listening to you, the more he's likely to do it. And on walks, I would use the clicker. Remember, get that handheld bracelet deal so you can click a little, and you don't have to hold it in your hand. But the clicker will work better outside or times where he's going to be more distracted. Now, clicker and yes are the same exact thing. We don't use them at the same time. And don't ever click for his attention. He looks like he's starting to rip open a chainsaw with that moment. You are very determined, buddy. So look at that tail go. He's like, yes, but I really want the Charlie bears. These are CHARLEE bears, and these are the tricky trainers. And so I like having lower level treats. This is a high level treat. I would use this for the counter conditioning. I would use this for like the cookie in the corner, things like that, because it made a sound when it hit the floor. Have treats with you on walks. Make sure you, when he does look at you voluntarily, yes, and hold out that treat. Celebrate that on walks. Now the female dog that he lays down and rolls over, be careful about that one. If he's doing it submissively, that's something I wouldn't want to practice. He doesn't do it very often, but again, I don't want a dog to be submissive or dominant. I want them to just be right in the middle. Yes. Is there anything else you would like? It's like, yes, I would like you to give me all of the treats that you got in your bag, darn it. All right, let's go ahead. We'll reposition you so they can see how handsome you are. All right. Now, if you do have questions, please message me. I can only help you if you let me know. But again, for physical exercise and mental stimulation, try to do that about every 2 to 4 hours, or before a guest comes over, or before times that he's likely to bark in the backyard or whatever it is. Sit. This is my buddy Alfred, and this is Alfred's Roadmap to Success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.